Hello, my name is Simon Miller and welcome to Ups and Downs here on WhatCulture Wrestling. My program's called Ups and Downs and the channel that hosts it is called WhatCulture Wrestling. Welcome to Ups and Downs, WhatCulture Wrestling, ups and downs, 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 ups and downs. I'm gonna collapse. And if you're wondering why I'm doing that, it's because, as always, WWE found a new tagline that they could shove into our face, and they said it over and over and over and over again until I was like, man, somebody give me a brick. I will eat the brick, because I'm pretty sure that would kill me. But yes, we've already established what this is. It's time to go through Raw. Let's up those damn downs. The start to Raw was great. It was kind of like when you were a kid and you were having a sleepover, and because you thought you could get away with whatever you want, you snuck over to another kid and you slapped them in the head, and then they were like, you can't do that, and you start to have a fight, and then everybody else at the sleepover started to have a fight before your mum comes down and was like, why did I agree to this? Would you all just calm down? Basically, Samoa Joe was your mother, and he was trying to calm down Asuka, Sasha Banks, and Bayley because they were out to have their contract signing, but they couldn't control themselves, and they were just brawling. And WWE never does that. They're so stuck in their ways with their structure. Usually Raw starts, and someone comes out and says, I am doing the opening to Raw promo. We didn't do that here at all. Joe tried to carry on anyway and introduce Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre, but even those guys were just walking down the ramp without waiting for their announcements. And I tell you, we were 5 minutes in, and I was a bit like, oh, a lot is going on. When things did settle down, it was Dolphy Boy Blue who grabbed a microphone, and he had some very strange things to say. He believes that he created Drew McIntyre just because once upon a time they were friends, and that's also why he deserves a title shot. I mean, that is a bonkers thing to say, but I guess it's as good as reason as any. Both dudes signed the contract, and then Drew went Drew because he did this all calmly, he did this all nice, and he said, look, Ziggler, I am going to end you at Extreme Rules, and on top of that, I'm so confident I will allow you to pick the stipulation. And I presume, just as Ziggles was about to say, okay, well, my stipulation is, if you pin me, I win the title. If you submit me, I win the title. But if I do both of those things to you, I also win the title, because why wouldn't you suggest that if some moron was gonna let you pick the stipulations? But we never got there, because Asuka was bored. She started shouting in Japanese. She signed her contract. Sasha Banks then gave her some lip. She signed her contract, and she did it like a big stamp, like she did on NXT back in the day. And I love that. And then a brawl broke out again, and you could just see Samoa Joe like, I can't do this anymore. And he probably left to go outside and have a quick cigarette and a glass of wine. Ziggler tried to lay one on Drew, but eventually bailed from the ring because he was about to be Claymore kicked. And I just want to applaud WWE for this, because I was being old cynic old Miller as soon as I saw on social media that we were going to have 2 contract signings on Raw. I was like, why can't you just leave a good alone? But having them at the same time, it worked excellently, and it made me, you know it, feel all warm and fuzzy inside. And the only issue I have, of course, is this ridiculous tagline for Extreme Rules, which is called The Horror Show. And yes, this is what I was referencing in the intro. I mean, it's dumb anyway. What does it even mean? I mean, because we're gonna get a swamp match, now we have to theme the whole thing as horror, but also we must have said it 78,922 times. And when we're in the 70,000 range, again, I was like, I've got to smash my head into something. I don't need to hear it anymore. And that's why it's getting a down. Angel Garza was then in the back flirting with the referee Jessica Carr, and she wasn't interested, but I tell you who was, Charlie Caruso. She just like zoomed up and she was like, Angel, what were you doing? Because he was trying to give her a flower, and she believed that was their little relationship thingamabob. Obviously, Zelina Vega put a stop to that, as she always does, and she was like, look, Charlie, don't worry about that. Just worry that my boys, Andrade and Angel Garza, do indeed have a tag team match later with the Viking Raiders. Just as this was going to happen as well, the Big Show turned up. He called Zelina Vega Smurfette. He called Garza and Andrade like Maserati and Ferrari, and then told them, I know you guys were meant to be up next, but no, I am stealing your spotlight. And I think we were meant to like Big Show here, but I audibly went, what a dick. We also learned that our main event for the evening is going to be Asuka and Drew McIntyre taking on Sasha Banks and Dolph Ziggler. Okay. Big Show then did come out and demanded that Randy Orton got his ass in the ring, and thankfully he was interrupted by Andrade and Angel Garza, who I was now 100% behind. Then Ric Flair was here for some reason, and you tell me. He warned Show that he needed to stop pushing Orton, otherwise he would become a legend that is now killed, you know, because Randy Orton is now the legend killer. And it was made very clear that Randy Orton is now being managed by the Nature Boy. And put your hands up if you understand why. Fwah. it comes back down. Anyway, just as Andrade and Angel Garza are about to beat Big Show up, because Ric Flair requested it, so he's now got all the power in the world, the Viking Raiders were here, and they all started to have a big fight. Obviously not Flair. He too old. I mean, this was like somebody had taken 4 jigsaw puzzles and just shaken them into one box so that when you open it to the puzzle, you were like, none of this goes together. It's getting it down. What it did end up with eventually was what we were meant to get in the first place, which was Andrade and Angel Garza taking on the Viking Raiders. Now, I'm a little bit worried that Eric and Ivar's push seems to have been halted, but even still, if we are focusing on Andrade and Angel and we're trying to push them up the card, they needed to win, and win they did, and this was fun. Let's get it up. The only problem is that the bad guys still can't get along with each other, which tied up the theme of this week's episode of Raw, which was bickering siblings. Because when Andrade wanted a tag, Garza just refused, so Andrade just tagged himself in anyway, and Angel Garza was like, fine, I'm gonna leave, before Zelina Vega had to walk to the ring and Samoa Joe these people's asses like, would you just calm down and please focus on the task at hand? We've got to get up in the morning, I got to take you to football practice, I can't handle it anymore. There was also some shenanigans to finish this too, and keep that in your head, because this is where the let's distract the referee fun started. But yeah, that is what happened. They did distract the referee, and it allowed Angel Garza to hit the wing clipper, but they actually beat the Viking Raiders. So there may be some issues between the two, but I can only presume they're slowly getting their way to have a tag team title match against the Street Profits. And I just appreciate the fact for once, WWE is actually focusing on the tag team division. With that said, Andrade did leave on his own here as Zelina Vega and Angel Garza celebrated in the ring by themselves, and once again, store that in your brain. And when we cut to the back, they were still going at it before all people, Ric Flair calmed them down. So now you got Samoa Joe and Zelina Vega as the mum and dad, and I suppose Ric Flair is the grandfather. Wow. The Iconics and Ruby Riott then fell out backstage. And is anybody in WWE going to tell me where Ruby Riott has been? Of course not. Anyway, the Iconics said she was a loser because she loses, and then Ruby Riott said, well, actually, you're losers because you lost your tag team title match last week. Unfortunately, they were all right. These people are literally a bunch of losers. They're gonna have a match later, and one of them is gonna lose. I really don't get what the point of the 24/7 championships anymore. It's like you pick a random wrestler and they'll take on R-Truth. It's like that hat thing we used to do. You just put a name out the hat and you go, oh, Tozawa, and he'll be a ninja. And that's what we had here. Down. And Truth won the belt back in around about 90 seconds, and he kind of pretended to be injured here to trick Tozawa, who of course is now dressed like a ninja, and he used the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment to get the victory, because apparently when it comes to 24/7 championship matches, that's the only move you can use. Bring it down, 45. A random ninja then tried to pin Truth afterwards, but Truth was too smart for him. And look, this is what we need to do now, WWE, please listen to me. Give Krang a call, talk to Krang, you remember Shredder. He'll help you out, he will get Shredder and the Foot Clan to come in, and finally the ninjas can just take over WWE. Chat with Bobby Lashley and MVP after this. They are both super mad and super pissed at Apollo Crews. Their deal is off the table. Later on we will get Apollo versus MVP, and MVP is gonna finish him for good. We also set up what Seth Rollins was gonna do for the evening, because he was talking to Don't Call Him Buddy Murphy here and said, look Murphy, tonight is the most important message I'm ever gonna have to give to the WWE Universe. And I was like, okay, good, sweet. Maybe we're gonna find out why he only wears one glove. And we'll say this, sometimes Seth gets a little bit preachy in his promos, but I guess that's the point. And also, I love Rey Mysterio and Dominic. Up. So yeah, it was gibberish, but it is meant to be gibberish. He was all like, look, Rey Mysterio, I am going to offer you forgiveness, not for what I have done, but for what I'm gonna do in the future. So I guess he's gonna star in a new film with Marty McFly, and he also sounds a bit like Darth Vader. That's how everyone in the Emperor used to talk. It used to be like, oh, the future is the past and the present, and we will win, Darth. I don't know what's going on. Rey and Dominic then appeared on the big screen, and it turned out that the word forgiveness was the word of the day. Because he was telling Dominic, look, you're going to have to forgive me, your father, because when I get my hands on Seth Rollins, you won't believe what I do to him. He didn't blow that afterwards. It would have been completely inappropriate. Dom was fine with this, but then he said he shall never forgive Seth Rollins for what they've done for the Mysterio family. I was like, Dominic going to turn on his dad. I could see it. Seth threw shade on that idea when he said he was going to finish Dom's career before it even started, and then from nowhere, Humberto Carrillo and Aleister Black turned up, and it was so random, it was a little bit like they'd come out here by accident, and they were like, oh, damn it, we took a wrong turn, now we've got to beat him up, otherwise we're not doing our job. Rollins must have felt the same, because he asked them, why do you keep fighting Rey Mysterio's battles for him? And Aleister Black's answer was, well, like, we think you're pretty evil, dude, and we want to extinguish evil. I suppose that's a fair point. It was then time for this tag team match, and I really don't know what WWE is going to do with Carrillo and Aleister Black from this point on. They kind of seem a bit lost in the shuffle. Also, they had control here until Buddy Murphy distracted the ref, and my gosh, that happened so many times on this show, and then Rollins, he was on the upper hand. Black also had a damn good hot tag here, and hopefully everyone in the back saw this and was like, oh yeah, Aleister's really good, we should try and do something with him. It all came down to the chump, and he screwed it up. He couldn't even perform the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, because instead Seth kicked out of that, and he curb stomped his ass, from this case his head, and he got the 1, 2, 3. What I didn't get, there was also this cool like double team maneuver when Murphy put the opponent on his shoulders and Seth dove at them with their knee. That should be their finish. With all that said, this was a very good match, and as I told you before, I ain't pulling down my pants and crapping on good matches, and also, this is proper long-term storytelling. Up. The bad guys then all jump Carrillo afterwards, and they're just so obsessed with eyes, because they were going to take him to the steel steps and try and blind him, but thankfully Aleister Black saw what was going on and he got involved and was like, can we all just calm down? He didn't do that, he started brawling to the back with Murphy. This, however, led crazy Seth Rollins to see the most bizarre opportunity, and he put on a Rey Mysterio mask and he curb stomped Humberto on the steel steps. Seth Rollins, he has gone absolutely nuts. I just realized I got that wrong. He didn't put a Rey Mysterio mask on, he put a Rey Mysterio mask on to Humberto Carrillo so he could be like, oh, it's actually Rey, when clearly it's not. Again, Seth lost his mind. Quick interview with Asuka and Drew McIntyre. They're buddies, they're friends, they're just gonna go out there and have a really good time, and Drew reminded us, he said that Dolph Ziggler boy could pick the stipulations so that when he loses, there is no excuses, and then the other person both said that the opponent later isn't ready for Drew. So they just took Asuka's catchphrase and once again just entertained themselves. I liked it. We then had a badass video for The Undertaker, and I will tell you that if he ever does come back for another match, WWE has run this into the ground, and so many people are like, why did I buy into this? But let's pretend that it is real. This was just so good. The man's a damn hero. The only thing that made me laugh is that you had the likes of Triple H and Stone Cold Steve Austin and Shawn Michaels, and the word business was said about 300 times. Why are people in wrestling so obsessed with that? The business this, the business that, but still, Undertaker, one of the best ever, is getting it up. Then, how I did laugh, because it does seem like potentially Lana and Natalya are gonna start some kind of Seth Rollins group, because Lana went up to Ruby Riott, who straight away was like, I don't want to talk to you, and I would have been the same Ruby Riott, because you just know she's gonna shout into your face, but she had a little bit of a proposition. Because as Lana explained, she was lost recently too, but then she met up with someone who's got more wins than Lita, more wins than Trish Stratus, more wins than Charlotte Flair, more wins than Becky Lynch, more wins than Asuka, and she is of course talking about Natty, and maybe Ruby Riott wants to come and have some fun with them. I mean, I cannot wait to see where this goes. I mean, what's the end idea? They're all gonna pretend to be cats? The Meow Ball, as they can be called, or the Kitty Express. Their finishing move can be the cat litter. I got this all worked out, WWE. You can have it. Also, fair play to Lana, because she had this one line when she said she's been so devastated, she wasn't even able to make a video for TikTok. That made me chuckle, and trust me, Lana really enjoys making TikTok videos. And then, well, actually, no, this is quite serious. Can we stop the music, please? Thank you. Could we have some sad piano for the ambience? Right, okay. Because look, it was Peyton Royce versus Ruby Riott. Ruby Riott lost, and I went and did the maths, and that means Rubes has now lost 20 matches. That's right, her record recently is 0 wins, 20 defeats. And I don't see how anybody recovers from that. Her days are probably numbered. You can't walk around with that kind of win-loss record. It's truly devastating. It's truly terrible. I'm very, very sorry, Ruby Riott. Down. And I get it, I know, this is all going to lead to Liv Morgan coming back and she will re-team with Ruby Riott, even though nobody told us why they fell out to begin with, and nobody will probably tell us why they got back together, although I secretly like it because it means we're now building the women's tag team division, which we should have been doing since February last year. And once again, the only reason Riott lost is because of a distraction by Billie Kay, who was on the outside. In fact, she was distracted by her straight away, and that made no sense because she was just standing there. She didn't even go oigonic. Peyton's finisher though, man, we absolutely have to give props to that. I mean, we barely ever see it, but it was like this spinning brainbuster thingy-majig. It was absolutely badass. More Big Show next, and he was saying that he gets it's a massive issue that Ric Flair, the dirtiest player in the game, is now teaming up with Randy Orton because, I quote, the Viper is now the most dangerous apex predator the world has ever seen. Can't wait to see that on a t-shirt. Anyway, he accepts that match and he's going to beat the living hell out of Andrade and Angel Garza in something that's going to happen on Raw. And he did. And that is what happens. I will say that WWE had a little bit of a get-out-of-jail-free card because the story between Andrade and Angel Garza and their bickering has been made very clear. But shouldn't we have trying to protect two stars who have done extremely well during the no-crowd era? I think so. We didn't do that. We fed them to the Big Show. Down. That is the deal though. Andrade and Garza once again couldn't get on. It left Andrade in the ring with the Big Show, who chokeslammed him and got the 1, 2, 3 and knocked him out with the big punch. And we need to say once again, Zelina and Angel left together here. They kind of abandoned Andrade. What the hell is going on? I also need to say that my autocorrect kept changing this to Andrade got KO'd by Big Show's lunch. And that would have been a much better finish, WWE. I'll point that out right now. Big Show could have poisoned his own lunch and then offered it to Andrade. He would have got sick, and as he was throwing up, Big Show could have pinned him. You see? Ingenuity. Then randomly, Ricochet, Cedric Alexander, and Apollo Crews were talking backstage. And within the world of kayfabe, why didn't the commentators go, where the hell have Cedric and Ricochet been? They vanished after a feud with, Thorne and Vink about 6, 8, 12 weeks ago. And no one's heard a peep out of them since, apart from a main event doesn't count. Truth bumped into them though, and they were all worried about him because he looked shook up. And he was like, of course I'm shook up. I've got a 24/7 championship belt that has to be defended at all time, and now ninjas are coming after me. You don't understand how dangerous ninjas are. Truth then referred to the pair as Cedric the Entertainer and Richard O'Shea. And while that one was quite funny, I think we all need to be quite perturbed because Apollo Crews looked at Richard O'Shea and went, you should just roll with that. And you're going, they would call him Richard O'Shea. Oh yeah? Shorty G, the walking biscuit. I tell you, Ricochet is going to become Richard O'Shea and he's going to be some kind of Irish superhero. Crews then tried to have some kind of buddy-buddy relationship with R-Truth by saying, hey man, we both know how hard it is to defend these titles. And Truth then just walked off. I don't know. This was all leading to the Apollo Crews versus MVP match, however. And while on paper it sounds like decimation, I actually enjoyed this segment of matches and carnage a lot. Like I really did, more than I thought I was going to. Just getting it up. And the first potential problem is that yes, MVP actually beat Apollo Crews. Now look, should Apollo Crews be losing, given that he is the United States champion? No. Should we even have non-title match in wrestling? The answer is also no. And did it make me kind of want to rip the rest of my hair out when Bobby Lashley once again caused a distraction, which allowed MVP to win? The answer to that is yes. But I tell you, they had a really good match. And on top of that, this just adds to the story. MVP and Bobby Lashley are two of the best things on Raw. I can't hate it, as long as it goes somewhere. Crews was livid after this as well, which makes sense. So many times babyface just go, oh well, I'll try again. And he started to beat up MVP, but that pissed off Bobby Lashley, who got in and locked on the full Nelson. Then Ricochet and Cedric Alexander came out, so thank goodness Apollo has some friends. And well, this kind of made them look like geeks, because they were trying to rip Bobby Lashley off of Apollo Crews because he had the full Nelson on, but they were flying back like Bob was Superman. That was a little bit much, but still. And then it transitioned into Bobby Lashley versus Richard O'Shea. And while at first this was a bit like a bear playing around with a toy, Richard eventually started to work his way back in. And again, Bobby Lashley and that man had a really good match. I'm telling you, I was into it. And yeah, it kind of blew my mind when we had another distraction because MVP was doing that, which meant eventually Ricochet tapped out to the full Nelson. And also then Cedric Alexander got put in it and his head just popped off and rolled down the ringway. But I tell you, it ended with MVP and Bobby Lashley feeling like a couple of badasses, and we got to see Ricochet, and he's so damn good in the ring. I was fine with all of it. I just was. You can get mad, but that's the truth. The best bit too is that at one point Samoa Joe said in reference to Apollo Crews taking this stand that, well, sometimes you stand alone, but at your funeral, you'll be by yourself. What a cool flipping line. Oh yeah, also, if you're confused as to why Ricochet versus Bobby Lashley just happened for no apparent reason, it wasn't on the match card, and the commentators were surprised, well, it was me, I made the match. I was just so happy to see Ricochet back on my television. I went, Calabalima! And I put him in a match. It sucks that he's lost, but I can only do so much. Also, if you ever wake up in a cold sweat tonight going, what the hell happened at King of the Ring 1999 when the briefcase moved up as Stone Cold Steve Austin was trying to grab it? Guess who that was? That's right, it was me, the Wizard in the Sky. What a lovely name. An interesting segment with Dolph Ziggler, Bayley and Sasha Banks came after this too, because Dolph was all like, look, I'll be the player coach, I'll be the strategist, I'll be the guy that come up with the tactics, and usually other people would go, yeah, okay, cool. But Sasha Banks and Bayley didn't do that. They laughed at Dolph and they said, why would we listen to you, you blonde-haired goon? The last time we saw you on SmackDown, you couldn't even beat Otis and Mandy Rose. I really like that. Sasha Banks and Bayley, they're a team, and screw to everybody else. We then went into that match, and look, it was really good. Asuka and Sasha Banks together are just phenomenal, and they will have a kick-ass match at Extreme Rules, and having Bayley on the outside was perfect. She's just so obnoxious in the right way, so it is gonna get it up. But come on, man, it's like WWE only has one page of notes when it comes to ending matches, because you already know what happens here. Not only do we have more distractions, because it was just the night of distractions, but after Asuka had locked in the Asuka lock on Sasha Banks, she pulled out the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up. Pull it down, was it 46, 47? It's probably 2079 by this point, and she was able to beat the champion. So that is 2 on one show, and 1 would have been too much. That bit is a down. The 3 bad guys celebrated as Raw went off air, and again, I get it, I understand. It means at the pay-per-view, Asuka will win and she'll hold on to the championship, but this is just to plant that seed of doubt into your head. But I don't know, the last few weeks, I kind of felt like we've cut the legs off from Asuka, especially because she's the champion. For example, would we ever have seen Drew McIntyre suffer a pinfall or submission loss here to Dolph Ziggler? No, you wouldn't. In fact, that wouldn't happen in a million years. And in a million years, we're all going to be dead. Also, I don't want to be that guy, which 100% means I'm going to be that guy, turn on my wrestling nerd switch. But we had a hot tag spot in this match, which didn't make any sense, because the rules are men versus men and women versus women. So as soon as Sasha Banks had tagged in Dolph Ziggler, the ref would have gone, Asuka, you got to get out. Drew, you've got to get in. But we built this like it was the most dramatic thing ever. I know, geek, nerd, moron. I had to say it. And that was the end of Raw, and I've got to be honest, I actually think the last 3 weeks have been really good. I'm enjoying all the stories. I think it's all segueing together nicely. I love Drew McIntyre as champion. I loved it. I dig it. Doesn't feel like 3 hours. Whatever WWE has changed, it's working for me. Getting up. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about last night's episode of Raw. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling. There's a lovely button right there. Then head over to WhatCulture.com and read yourself some articles. Follow WhatCulture on Twitter, WhatCulture WWE, and watch more videos here on WhatCulture Wrestling. My name is Simon from WhatCulture, also known as Mr. Ups and Downs, and I'll see you soon.